Dear friends and partners of EMVITET project, you are warmly welcome to follow our first EMVITET webinar in Developing Education for. This is bilingual webinar, partly in English and partly in Vietnamese. We hope that you will get some new ideas and later on you can develop them further in your own context with your own colleagues. And who we are here, let me introduce me first. I'm Irma from Finland. I've been working in educational sector for 30 years already. And I work as a teacher educator, also researcher. And in this project, I'm leading this project, and I'm really happy to do that because we have great partners in developing education for. And please, Lam, introduce yourself.
Kính chào quý thầy cô, mình tên là Nguyễn Thanh Lâm, hiện tại đang là trưởng phòng quan hệ quốc tế của trường Đại học Lạc Hồng và mình rất là vinh dự khi làm là điều phối viên tại trường Đại học Lạc Hồng trong cái dự án EMVITET này và rất là vinh dự khi phối hợp cùng với cô Irma thực hiện cái webinar đầu tiên trong cái chuỗi webinar của dự án EMVITET.
In here, we have put some keywords when we are developing education for what are the most important things. So, Lam, perhaps you can read them in Vietnamese. In this session, together with you, we have an idea to have a very interactive session. But right now, we are in the situation that recording is the best solution. Lam, perhaps you can translate. So we will share some ideas, and then we ask you to reflect. And you can do this reflection in your own time. But we are really happy if you discuss with your partners, with your colleagues later on, about these questions we propose.
Cũng chính vì là có cái thay đổi cái format kiểu như vậy cho nên là trong cái session này thì cô Irma sẽ đặt ra một số cái câu hỏi mở mà quý vị cô có thể là cùng nhau thảo luận với đồng nghiệp của mình hoặc là có thể là chia sẻ với các đồng nghiệp ở các trường.
Before we go on to the topics more in detail, it's good to recognize that there are quite many forms of collaboration between industry and education. So in these slides, I listed some of the collaboration is very common in Finland, like practical training periods, internships, collaboration in curriculum development. We have a lot of visiting lectures from the companies. We have also provide continuing education program for company staff. And of course, we all know this very common practice to have projects together with companies. And in this webinar, I think I mostly concentrate of generally in this topic, how we can integrate research, develop and innovation and learning. How we can implement project-based learning. So, why intensive collaboration is needed? That is a very important question to reflect and also to share from both of us. We can share what are the benefits, what we have recognized if we think about students, if we think about industry and educational institutions. I think we can share some Finnish and Vietnamese experiences. So let's start. Let's talk about the students, how they can benefit industry education collaboration. So the most important question is for us, how we can provide learning environment which can be helpful in creating these kind of top skills in 2030. If you think about creativity, complex problem solving, critical thinking, people management, emotional intelligence, you can perhaps right away recognize that these kind of competencies cannot be learned in traditional classroom settings. And that's why real life learning environments are needed. They enable that relevant competencies can be learned. And of course, always when we think about learning, we have the challenge to create motivation, and real life learning environments really provide motivation and inspiration. And these kind of environments also allow students to find their personal strengths and build their professional identity. Then if we think about industry and business, in this kind of change, when we start to build new connection with industry, we need to highlight the benefits for them also. They have recognized already that there are many these kind of rapid changes in the work life, like Industrial Revolution 4, digital disruption, artificial intelligence. All these things will change the jobs and the workplaces a lot. And there will be changes we don't know yet. We don't know what kind of world there will be, for example, after this pandemic situation. So we don't know all the changes, but we need to be ready to learn all the time. Companies also. And that's why when we start to build connections with industry, it's very good to highlight that they can benefit the knowledge and manpower what educational institutions can provide, and help them to create business solutions and innovations. It's very important to make this thing very clear. So we can say that it provides, this kind of good collaboration provides multiple professional perspectives and expertise for the industry. It builds new connections and networks. It inspires and motivates industry and business also, and it helps in understanding the development needs. Then what are the benefits for educational institutions? It's really important that educational institutions understand the changes in the work life so that they can focus on relevant competencies. Industry education collaboration also offers teachers opportunities to learn and keep themselves updated. And of course, it offers students inspiring learning experiences. Industry and education collaboration also helps educational institutions to maintain their quality and also their relevancy in the changing world. So there need to be this new mindset, like out of the box, outside from school, to go to the business world and live with the change. Next, I would like to share from my personal experiences in developing industry education collaboration. What were the success factors in Finland at HAMK, and what did we learn during the process of 10-15 years when we have developed industry education collaboration? This is something I really want to highlight at first, that changing the culture and the practices in educational institution, it is an organizational learning process. And key for success is to integrate teacher learning and organizational learning. What we did when we started 10 years ago, we wanted to evaluate where we are and where we need to go. And we used this model. And this is a tool also for you to use. So in here we can see some structural factors and pedagogical factors, what defines the different models of industry education collaboration. So this specialist model in the collaboration means that workplace relations are taken care of only by some specialists. In this phase, theory and practice are separated, and there are very separate roles of teachers and learners. Learners are not participating in collaboration. And in this integrative model, things are a little bit advanced. Several teachers are involved. Workplace collaboration, theory and practice are integrated. But our aim was 10 years ago to create more like this model of network culture, in which workplace collaboration is really embedded in structures and curriculum, and then theory and practice are merged. All parties, including teachers and workplace, learn. And if you are interested to study this model more, there is a link to the very nice article related to these models. But it was important to have this kind of evaluation when we started. And I think these are the success factors how we can go on having very intensive industry education collaboration. We need to have a strategy in very high level. We need to have integrated competence-based models which consist of work-life phenomenon, and they all have work-life connection. This creates flexibility, and also it requires collaborative and open learning culture, team working and team learning. It's very important to have this collaboration within university so that you can create collaboration to industry. We also need digital platforms and networks. When we go on with our project, I think we can go more deeper with these topics, but right now it's good to understand that there need to be some structural changes when you try to achieve a successful industry education collaboration. And one of the new structures is our design factory, which is a separate, not separate, but unit which support new connections and which creates space for interaction. This is our HAMP design factory, and you can see how it connects work-life representatives, entrepreneurs, researchers from our different research units, teachers from our study programs, and students from different disciplines. It creates a space for this kind of multi-professional collaboration. And in here, these are the questions for you to reflect later on. Quite many questions, but I hope you can find something interesting when reflecting them. Now I want to go to the even more important topic. What is our approach to learning when we develop industry business collaboration, industry education collaboration? Say that the most important success factor is our approach to learning, so that we understand that in education 4, learning is collaborative co-creation. It means that all the stakeholders are learners, not just students, but teachers and work life also. There needs to be equality and trust. And it means in practice that teachers really need to trust on their students. We need to trust business partners. Managers need to trust their teachers and so on. So trust is a key success factor. Then something more related to the pedagogical approach. We have developed in our university this kind of co-creation pedagogy, which you can read more through this link. And it based the idea that in this co-creation process, there are business, student and teachers all acting together, working together, creating, designing, guiding, so that this creates approach how all of them can learn. Because business challenges also are very ambiguous and unpredictable and messy. So this kind of co-creation pedagogy fits very well in this kind of context. So learning is not just for a school, it's for real life. And it is really important to recognize that these kind of processes, they are really different. And it requires something from all stakeholders. Freedom to act, freedom to ask.
Sau khi thực hiện cái webinar này thì cô Irama sẽ chia sẻ đầy đủ các tài liệu liên quan có được trong cái link này để quý vị cô tham khảo thêm.
Yeah. Yes, I want to highlight, please put students in the center. What we have learned, it is really important to start from the beginning of the studies. Do not wait too long before putting students into real life learning environment. Increase the responsibilities step by step. Let them do a lot. Create context, investigate the needs of companies, let them design and evaluate, innovate and implement, explore. So I could say, let them do shine, strive and flourish. We have learned that when we create a process where students need to overcome the challenges, they will be stronger, they will be more motivated, and they really have gained new competencies relevant in the work life. And then teachers need to learn to be as facilitators, not just knowledge providers. They need to learn to be present digitally or physically and available. They need to show their interest and they need to give support. So the next reflection questions is more related to how to increase students' responsibility and how to improve the role of teachers. Then the last point in our webinar is to highlight the importance of empathy and dialogue. These things listed here they are important between all the relationships between educational institution and the industry, between teachers and students, and between managers and teachers. So they need to be applied all the levels. So for example, the idea of understanding the needs of others, it's a question for teachers and students when they approach companies. They need to be ready to listen, not talk only by themselves, but to listen and investigate what are the needs of the companies. That is the only way to build successful collaboration and successful innovation or projects. It's so important to be aware, for example, to be aware your own language. And I want to share one example in our case. When our teachers started to work with companies, they used school language, and that was a problem because they cannot talk in business language. But when they started to be aware that there needs to be common language together, these things started to develop. They started to listen and they started to understand each other better. It's so important to improve, all of us, to improve our dialogical skills, and with them we can really build good collaboration, because it doesn't happen without efforts. So the last, perhaps, I hope that these questions are also interesting to you to think through. Okay, quite many questions for you.
Cho đến giờ phút này quý cô có mười mấy câu hỏi để reflect với đồng nghiệp của mình rồi.
Yes. So right now we would like to end this session, and hopefully it gave you some nice ideas to reflect more. And I'm really interested to hear what you find out together. Later on, we can go back to these questions more in detail. Thank you for everybody, and let's keep in touch and develop education for further together.